The baobab, often referred to as the tree of life, is a remarkable and iconic tree native to the African savanna. It is known for its enormous trunk, which can store up to 120,000 liters of water, and its ability to live for thousands of years. The tree's unique properties and striking silhouette make it a symbol of life and resilience in often harsh landscapes. Why am I telling you about this amazing tree? Because today on Chizuba Talks, I have Terri Place of the Baobab Home. The Baobab Home is a non-profit that serves just like the baobab tree. And welcome, Terri, founder of this amazing non-profit called the Baobab Home.
Thank you so much, Tej. Thank you for inviting me.
Terri, now that we know about the Baobab, can you tell us how and why you decided to start this non-profit?
Back in 2003, I was visiting some friends in Uganda, and they were working on the developing the ARV rollout, allowing people with HIV/AIDS to get medication. And I was supposed to climb Kilimanjaro with a friend of mine, but instead I went to Zanzibar and I met my husband there. And we decided to found the Baobab Home in Bagamoyo. We liked the area, being close to the city but not too close. And in 2008, we bought a farm. And actually, without knowing, we used the name Baobab, but I chose the name Baobab, but his tribal name Mwandu means the baobab tree in his native language. Yeah.
Lovely. How beautiful is that? Wonderful. And did you start off thinking that, okay, I'm going to start with this orphanage or I'm going to start with something to do with the community? So, what was the original idea about and what has it blossomed into today?
Right. So we've been in a constant state of evolution, really. Our original idea was to work with teens, but at that time, as I mentioned, there were no medicines for people with HIV. So a lot of women were dying and babies did not have breastfeeding mothers. So the government actually asked us to take in babies, and the intention was for them to stay with us about 2 or 3 years, and then when we fed them milk, and for them to be returned to family. And that worked several times, but the kids that stayed with us were children that we just could not return home because it wasn't safe enough. And so the children who stayed with us grew up with us. Most of them grew up with us as babies, and we just couldn't return them home later.
Yeah.
So now we have 9 kids grown up. Or, no, 11.
9.
11.
11 kids that are grown up. And how grown up are these?
Well, so the original kids from the Baobab Home, 2 are disabled and they're older. There are also 11 grown street boys who have already moved on to careers. We did a lot of outreach in the beginning, a lot of outreach in the community while we were waiting to get our license as a baby's home. And among those projects, we took in street boys. And those boys are all grown up, and most of them are doing very well. The next generation, the one we call the Baobab kids, they're all in high school now. And they're around the country in Tanzania going to secondary schools there. So we've decided not to take on another generation of Baobab kids or babies, because in the meantime, what's become the biggest focus for us is the school, is our primary school and our farm, and bringing those two together.
Wonderful, wonderful. I'd love to hear about the farm and of course the school as well. When you say you have a school, is this with the government's collaboration? Is this run under that board? And if so, what are the classes and ages that cater to that?
So when the children in the Baobab home were young, and our own children were young, we sent our son Justice to school, and he was hit. We didn't have an intention to start a school, and
Okay.
he was hit by his teachers, and
Oh my
we
goodness.
found that completely unacceptable, and that is how our school
Absolutely.
began. And so
Okay.
we had a corner. We have a 12-acre farm, and we set aside some space, and we started building a school there to keep the kids from the Baobab home and our own children safe. So
Wonderful.
unfortunately, most of the schools in Tanzania allow corporal punishment still. So our school does not allow any corporal
Good.
punishment, and we work with the kids, of course, when there's conflict, and try to understand the roots of conflict, and so that's how it began. It began out of necessity,
Right.
and what it's blossomed into is what we feel the most pressing problem is now. Is that children are growing up without any understanding of the environmental issues that they're facing.
Correct.
They're happening all around us, and people cope beautifully with them. They're very resilient. They're very strong, but they don't understand that it's part of a bigger picture. Like drought happens, or excessive heat happens, or poor soil health happens. All of these things happen, but we're not seeing a lot of awareness as to why they're happening, and um, that's what we want to accomplish now by raising a younger generation of kids who understand what's going on, and they see the renewable energy work that we're doing on our farm. They see our focus on soil health, and they see the energy saving measures that we take, and we want to grow up and
Wonderful.
normalize that for as many kids as we can.
Correct, correct. So when you say your school is an ideal school where the children are learning about the environment, they do not have corporal punishment. So how does this go down well with the school district, with the school, the government? Obviously there is competition, right?
Yeah, so we are mandated to follow the government curriculum, and we do that. And we take liberties with how we teach reading. We don't do it the government way. We use leveled readers to teach English to the children. One of the complicated things about the Tanzanian curriculum is that the primary school is taught in Swahili, but high school, secondary school is taught in English. So they have to
Good.
shift dramatically, make this dramatic shift in after year 7. So we teach them in English, so they're better prepared for um, for the secondary school. And as to whether they
Good.
appreciate it, we've never heard many complaints. The inspectors still like to come and drive us crazy with doing small things that we have to fix.
That's
And
their right.
yeah, it never ends. Change this, and then we change that, and then they say that. But for the most part, when they come, they see the results, and
Yes.
there's not very much that they can say. So I think that they're happy. But we run like a private school quality with children who are very poor. So, there are some schools that have, that are the private schools have a different caliber. They still teach the government curriculum, but I think it's what makes us unique is that we're teaching kids who would never be able to afford a
Right.
private school education.
Right.
Let's take a break to understand what Chizuba is. Everyone at some point ponders on how this beautiful life can be made more meaningful. Maybe you're a leader trying to enhance your employees' experience at your organization. Or you already work for the community and seek volunteers with state of the art skills to strengthen your nonprofit. Whatever your situation, know that you can make a difference. Chizuba began with this very vision, a vision to facilitate every skill and every passion in the world in meeting a social need. Corporate volunteering has several benefits for both businesses and organizations. In parallel, experienced and enthusiastic volunteers join NGO workers, enabling them to serve the community more effectively. Chizuba offers everyone looking to add purpose and meaning to their lives a chance to connect or volunteer virtually with nonprofit organizations from over 100 countries around the world. Visit www.chizuba.net and explore opportunities to find meaning. Chizuba, your platform to do good. And now, back with our guest.
And I'm sure these kids will come back after, they have reached the stage where they're into jobs, and they will come back and give back to the school. I think that's, pretty much how this
They
works.
already do.
They already do.
Yeah. We have our older boys, our street boys come back and help us all the time. One of them is an electrician, one of them is a nurse, a couple of them are nurses, one of them is an eye doctor. They've all come back to help us. And we're the concept of alumni is not very common in Tanzania. Most people don't have any. They don't have much maybe nostalgia or good feeling for their school where they want to go back and go and experience it again. But our kids always come back and visit us. So sometimes we have the older the newly graduated kids come back and talk to the ones who are in year 7 to prepare them for what's next. So yeah, there's definitely a strong community that's
absolutely. It's how you raise them. It's how the good memories that they have with the school, and obviously that is making them come back. Terri, let's talk about the regenerative farm that you have, the 12 acres of arable land where you are, you have fish ponds, you have cows, you have a biogas system, some solar system as well. How did it start? And yes, please.
It started mainly out of necessity. When we got there, the power grid was not there. So we had to have solar. And so as time has gone on, we don't want to be attached to the grid if we can possibly avoid it.
Absolutely,
so we keep growing our solar. And with biogas, also, I guess out of a necessity, but we cook with fire and we cook with sometimes cooking gas, and I didn't want to spend the money nor cut down the trees. So I don't know when it happened. Back in 2010 or so, I heard about biogas, and I worked very hard to get this to get the grant from the U.S. Embassy to make this system. And it's very simple technology, actually, and it's never broken down on us, and it's not complicated, and it's saved us thousands of dollars and many hundreds of trees. It's good.
But tell me, when you say biogas, do you have those many cows, and do you have enough, raw material for the biogas plant?
We have 40 cows now. Since in the last few weeks we've had a few new births, and we have 40 cows, and it's they're a joy to have around, and they bring us good milk. We make yogurt, and again, even some of the children are not familiar with living around cows. So it's good to have that as well.
Yeah, it sounds like a very, very bohemian idea of living with the animals, living free, living, in tandem with nature. But do you think this is a model that is scalable? Do you think this is a model that can be applied to other schools as well? Can this be a model school?
I don't know not everyone would have the space that we are blessed with. So I can't say that um, it would be if the conditions were right. Then I think that everything we are doing can be replicated. The chickens, the BSF, we also raise black soldier flies, and that's absolutely um, a transferable knowledge that a lot of people can use to manage their organic waste.
Great.
So all of our food waste goes to these insects, and we raise those insects and we feed them to our chickens and fish. So I
Correct.
think that, but it
I
does take
talked.
a lot of management.
It does. I believe so because I remember I spoke to Toby from an organization called Ento, also from Africa, and he is into this black soldier fly, and he created this manure, and he said that this is the best thing that has ever happened to farming. And he says yes, but initially it does require a lot of not investment, but manpower, a lot of hard work. But once it is set, you're like done pretty much.
I would say it's not a quantity of labor, it's the quality. Like one or two people who really have a keen sense of observation and
Observation.
watching how these bugs grow, they can
Mm-hmm.
do it. But
Right, right.
yeah, they but everything else, trial and error. We've done it. The fish ponds as well. We started with tilapia, and we realized that that's very labor intensive for us.
Okay.
And now we raise catfish, and we also raise an aquatic plant called azolla, and that
Lovely.
is brilliant
Lovely.
for the environment and really easy. It couldn't be more easy.
So, when we see a model school, we have a wonderful system. The children are enjoying it. Is the staff enjoying it? Is the staff happy to work on the terms that you have laid down?
It's a good question. I think so because we don't have much turnover. Most of the people have been with us. We have 36 people working for us. And I think the oldest employee, or the one who's been with us longest, has been, I think, 18 years. And
Wow, that's a long time.
but there's a lot of 15 years, a lot with 15 years, a lot with 14 years. There's not a lot of movement. Our cooks have been there a long time. Our house mothers since the beginning.
So
So
everybody
it
loves the
really
baobab.
is very much like a family. I'm sorry.
Everybody loves the baobab.
I think so. I hope so.
That's so nice to hear.
Yeah. I
So,
mean,
is
it's
there
not
something,
perfect. Nothing is.
right? Terry, is there something that you feel there is a need for right now? You said your staff is happy, you are happy with the area that you have, you're happy with the circumstances that are, prevalent. So, is there something that you require or where people could help if they wanted to virtually?
Yeah. So, I think that uh, for we always need people to spread the word and to tell people about us, and we always need volunteers, especially people who have connections to universities, and where we're looking for interns and volunteers who have uh, engineering experience, uh, teaching
Okay.
experience, um, any
And
kind
these are
of
it.
applicable farming, agriculture, environmental studies. We
Uh-huh.
do that. We've been hosting volunteers for many years, and it's a great synergistic feel. Like when people come
Absolutely.
from
I totally agree.
overseas, it's everybody has fun, and uh, the and people also it's great to have young people who are just getting involved in their careers have freedom to do and learn things and develop projects with us. So it's that makes it a lot of fun. So any connections, I think, to universities. One thing we also are trying to do right now, because it is a hard time, we know, all over the world. and individual donations are harder and harder to come by because there's so many good organizations out there. One thing we want to do is to try and, of course, leverage uh, corporate donations and to get people to access their match grants. That is a really important thing for us. When companies match their employees' donation, that makes a world of difference in our budget.
Right. And also tell us about the event that's coming up. I think you have an event scheduled for May 2024.
So I'm in the United States. My husband is arriving in a few days, and that's not very common. We don't get here very often to meet people. So we want to get back and meet the donors who have been supporting us for decades and try and bring people together again. We have an event on the 8th, a golf outing, our first annual golf event. And we also have a party coming up the first week in May, but the date hasn't been set yet.
Awesome.
In New Jersey.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I wish you all the very best for that. And thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing the joy, actually, of starting this and running this organization. I'm sure it is extremely satisfying. I'm sure the kids that are growing up in that school and on that farm are going to be extremely grateful for what they have.
Well, I'm grateful as well because I get to live in a really wonderful place.
Terri, as a last piece of advice to people who are listening to this, what would you say for the education system today? What is
I'm sorry, could
crucial?
you repeat the question?
What is your advice to educationists all over the world?
I think education is changing and evolving, and we all have to be mindful. It's of what's coming and what the children we're teaching are going to be facing in the next few years. And I think it's we all have to think far outside the box about how we teach.
Sure. Thank you very much. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us, and all the very best to you.
Thank you, Ash. Thank you.